This episode,
Fireball XL5 collides with Joe 90 in FAB Facts.
There's a traitor in our midst in the Randomiser.
and I look back at the Thunderbirds stage show with Gavin Robertson.
That's all coming up in Pod 75.
Of the Diamond Gerry Anderson podcast.
Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
The Gerry Anderson podcast with Jamie Anderson and Richard James.
Where are they then?
What, your diamonds?
It's our Diamond podcast.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll have some diamond cufflinks
Oh,
done or something.
specially made. Yeah.
No, we actually have to wait for 75 years of the Gerry Anderson podcast for that, Richard. So,
No, don't do that to me. You'll probably be all right.
well, I'd be 108 then, wouldn't
Yes,
I?
yes, I'd be 125. But anyway,
Well, you never know.
By the way, who are you and what are you doing on my phone?
Oh, yeah, sorry. My name is Jamie Anderson. I'm the son of Gerry Anderson and the MD of Anderson Entertainment. And who are you?
Oh, that makes sense because I'm Richard James and I was in Gerry Anderson's Space Precinct and we're here together to present the Gerry Anderson podcast.
Which you're listening to right now.
That'll be it. You see, it all dovetails nicely, doesn't it?
Yeah, sort of, when we're not filling up the airways with nonsense. Yeah, this is the Gerry Anderson podcast. We bring you news and FAB Facts and a Randomiser and the Plot of Peril and some other stuff.
Yes.
Every week. Every
right.
single week, relentlessly and never-endingly, it seems.
How do we do it? Why do we do it? That's what people are asking.
Well, we do it because we enjoy doing it and because we've got some lovely listeners, also known as the Podsterons, who also seem to quite enjoy it from time to time. So thank you for listening.
Absolutely. There is an awful lot of love for the Gerry Anderson shows out there. We know that, don't we? We discovered it big time since we've been doing the podcast. People emailing us and tweeting us, and we've got a Facebook group where people post their thoughts and comments and funny ideas, but there is a lot of love for Gerry Anderson. It just does not seem to be going away, does it?
If anything, I reckon it's growing. So,
yeah. I think you're right. It's certainly more visible now than ever it was, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I say ever, since back in the heyday.
Well, exactly. But now we've got all wonderful things like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and stuff, and we'll be coming to YouTube and other things later on. So, yeah, I mean, should we just get on with this thing?
Oh, why? What have you got planned?
Well, I'm quite desperate to get to this week's FAB Facts, Richard.
Are you? I wonder why you were looking so angsty on your seat there, chattering about and... Come on, then.
It's a new cushion. Here it is, this week's FAB Facts.
Now, time for this week's FAB Facts.
Right. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for coming. You just let the band in on the way up. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the familiar music that everyone loves. FAB Facts, it's back. It's back with a vengeance. It's back stronger than ever with a new source of FAB Facts. We used to have a book called FAB Facts, which we flicked through, but we kind of ran slightly dry. So now we've got a new source of FAB Facts.
Yes.
Which I cannot reveal the exact nature of it.
No. Okay.
But it's got some cool FAB Facts so far, right, Richard? And I'm sure we're going to land on yet another one today.
I mean, it's really stepped up a gear, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a special book of FAB Facts. I flick through it. Richard shouts FAB. We stop on a page around the FAB time. And then I pick a fact from that era. And, we just see if it's interesting. And we desperately hope it is.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. Otherwise, we'll just switch off and go home.
Yeah, please don't switch off and go home. I'm sure it'll be interesting. So, Richard, here is my book.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, born ready.
Here we go, then.
FAB!
Richard.
Yes?
You have landed, because this book is presented chronologically.
Ah, yes.
Approximately in 1961-62-ish.
Ah, I thought so, looking around me now. Yeah.
It feels
Isn't it
quite
groovy?
Quite 60s and groovy. So this comes at the end of Supercar.
Oh.
And the start of the genesis of Fireball XL5.
Right, okay, yes, I'm with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So obviously Supercar had been a kind of last-ditch chance for the AP Films team to make their show. Lou Grade came in with the finance, made them cut the budget down. They cut it by a third. It was all quite stressful, but they had their backer. So a Supercar came to an end. Lou had said, present me with the next idea. I want to see what it is.
Yeah.
And so obviously they were desperate to make sure they came in with something really, really good. But they didn't just come in with Fireball XL5 as we know it today. In fact, they went in with 2 versions
Oh, yes.
of a proposed Fireball XL5.
Right.
Now, back then, Fireball XL5 was called Sentry 21, as that was going to be the name of the rocket.
Got you.
Which was later renamed XL5, obviously. And then Sentry 21 was used all the time with TV Sentry 21, the comic. Sentry 21, as in the production company, was renamed that.
Yeah.
Everything else in that version of the concept was pretty much the same. But inside this hand-put-together, spiral-bound pitch book, illustrated by Reg Hill and Derek Meddings, was another format. The format for that proposed series was, interestingly, a bizarre combination of live action and puppetry.
Oh, no.
So you saw this was coming early on. But the live action centred around a young American boy who dreams of being a handsome, successful pilot.
Oh, yes.
And that boy, his self-given pilot name, was to be Joe 90.
Oh, no.
Yes!
Really?
Yes! Would you believe it? So in this proposed idea, you'd have the real-life Joe 90 who would dream of going around the galaxy with his friends and family, basically on missions.
Yeah.
And then he would dream away, and then the dream sequences would be him as a puppet with his puppet crewmates going off on space adventures. So they would go around in Joe's imaginary adventures in Space Patrol Vehicle 10, SPV. You see how these names kept coming up?
This is amazing, yes. How interesting.
And in his crew, Sister Debbie, brother-in-law Gary, niece Cindy Lou, and navigator Professor Matthew Mattick, who was preserved in Fireball XL5.
That's right.
There you go. The story of the proposed initial episode had Joe and the SPV-10 crew visiting a planet of giants where they become caught in a giant spider's web and rescue Gary from the giant goon and his 2 talking monkey servants. There you go. Suggested voices included, obviously Kenneth Connor, David Graham, and Spike Milligan.
Spike Milligan, of course. Why did Spike Milligan never appear in a Gerry Anderson series? Or any of the goons?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But there you go. Isn't that amazing?
Do you know, I love that. And I think as a format, I think I would like to have seen that. That mix, the live action and then the dream sequences being the puppets is quite endearing, I think.
Well, years later, I think it was called Turbocharged Thunderbirds. It was a US reinvention where they had real-life kids contacting this kind of puppet-populated planet where international rescue operators. So it kind of, so many of these things, they appear at one time and then they're recycled to later on.
Yeah,
Sentry 21 becomes the name of the company, SPV, Spectrum Pursuit Vehicle, Joe 90 becomes Joe 90. So sometimes it's just not the right time for these ideas and they get used later on.
Well, that's right. These ideas just go in a sort of bottom drawer somewhere, and when the opportunity comes along, they're dusted off and brought to light again. It's quite interesting, isn't it?
And that's exactly how it happened.
And actually, I think I've got to be sort of a more successful idea in a way than Secret Service, which famously was a mix of live action and marionettes, because there's no distinction, is there? And there's no reason given why they're doing that in the sort of universe of the show. Whereas in that nice Joe 90 Fireball crossover, you have a reason why they're mixing live action and puppet, because the puppets are all in a dream.
Yeah, fictional.
Nice.
So there you go. The Fireball XL5 that might have been, but thankfully spared us from Joe 90 for another 6 years. So that brings us sort of neatly to the end of this week's XL Fact.
Nice. Very good. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking earlier about there being lots of love for the Gerry Anderson shows out there and people expressing that in various different formats, so you can follow us on Twitter. Follow him. I'm Jamie Anderson, or me, Richard N. James. Hashtag us Gerry Anderson Podcast, and we'll see your comments there. People are also joining our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/podsterons, full of lovely, friendly people sharing jokes and their artwork. There's one thing we don't allow on that group, Jamie. Do you know what that is? Caps lock.
Oh.
Because that's essentially shouting, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
That's like walking into a quiet bar, and seeing a couple of people over there talking about Captain Scarlet, and walking over to them and shouting in their face. So, all opinions allowed, but no caps lock. But a very friendly bunch, so do pop over to our Facebook group. And, of course, you can email us. Now, podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. I had a message from Hayden Gribble, Jim. You don't know about this, but Hayden got in touch to say, hello chaps, the other day my mother came to my house and gave me a couple of bags worth of old scrapbooks and schoolwork from my childhood. Deep within the bowels of one such notebook was a list I had made as a 7-year-old entitled Captain Scarlet the Movie. It was an ambitious, if not slightly weird, wish list of people I either looked up to or found prominent in my young life, cast in a live-action, super-duper, non-marionetted version of my favourite Gerry Anderson show. Now, here's the cast list, right? So, for Captain Scarlet, Jim Carrey. Captain Blue, Michael Keaton. Destiny Angel, Nicole Kidman. Captain Ochre, Robin Williams. Captain Magenta, Rowan Atkinson. Lieutenant Green, the Green Ranger from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, obviously. And this is the real left-field choice, Brian May as Colonel White. He said, 23 years later, I've mocked up what a scene may have looked like from this mind-bending mashup of actors and musicians, which I share with you now. And he sent me a picture, and I shall post it on our Facebook group so you can all see Hayden's dream casting for a live-action Captain Scarlet the Movie.
Wow. I mean, I can definitely see some bits of inspiration there, like Rowan Atkinson as Magenta, for sure.
Yeah, and even Jim
bit of
Carrey
comedy
as Captain
relief.
Scarlet, actually. I mean, he's quite a good dramatic actor.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Difficult to see outside the image, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Beyond Ace Ventura and Mask and all that. But
Yeah, but do send in your thoughts if you've got any ideas for casting of a live-action Gerry Anderson series. Send it in to podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk.
And in fact, if you're feeling really inspired and you would like to make a video of, say, for example, the Thunderbirds intro with your dream cast inside that would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? We'd love to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm setting impossible tasks now, but
you are a bit.
Yeah, I can really see that. Or even a Space 1999 live action version. And obviously we've got Chris Thompson's fantastic audio version that's been done recently, where you've got Mark and Co doing their quarter turns.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah, I'd love to. We want your dream casting now, please.
Yeah, what about reversing it though? If you're going to make a video or a little YouTube thing, why not a marionette version of Space 1999? Has anyone ever done that? Has anyone ever reversed that? A marionette UFO?
Weirdly, I was talking to Steve Begg about doing a kind of marionette 1999 takeoff thing, which would have been quite fun. So yeah. Let's see some cross live action and puppetry mashups from you, Podstrons. We'd love to see what you can be creative with there.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Well, I look forward to those. To tide us over until we receive some of those amazing things,
we'll hold your breath.
Shall we have some Gerry Anderson news?
Let's have some Gerry Anderson news.
Newsy news.
News.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a bit of reading, bit of content for you to go and look at this time, and a reminder of our Captain Black Friday thing and a couple of other bits and pieces coming up. Mm-hmm. Chris Dale, him of the Randomiser. I'm not sure if you've heard of it before.
Chris, I'm familiar with his work.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Chris has done a great article about the top 5 Gerry Anderson vehicle battles, which is over on the Gerry Anderson website.
Wow.
Some lovely screen grab visuals from that, and an honourable mention. Well, you'll have to go and check it out, won't you, if you want to know what honourable mention is and what gets the number 1 spot. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you think about it, I reckon. But it's a great selection there.
Right.
Captain Black Friday. Now, I've mentioned this a couple of times before, but I've had a lot of emails and tweets and other messages saying that I have not clearly explained how to access the Captain Black Friday VIP list. Now,
come on then, take us through it.
There are going to be all sorts of wonderful deals coming up in Captain Black Friday, and also you will get to choose whether you represent Spectrum or the Mysterons.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. So this is an exclusive to the Gerry Anderson podcast. Across Captain Black Friday weekend, the 29th of November to the 2nd of December, I think that's correct.
Yeah.
There are 2 special limited edition designs that will be available. A Captain Black t-shirt and a Captain Scarlet t-shirt.
I like it.
You can choose one or both if you wish, but at the end of Captain Black Friday weekend, the winner of that contest, the one that sells the most units, will stay on as Victor and be a permanent fixture in the Gerry Anderson store. The loser will never be seen again.
Oh, that's harsh.
So it's up to you, Podsterons, who you want to win. I mean, if Captain Black is victorious and Scarlet's gone forever, then
So be it.
what does that say about our listeners and customers of the Gerry Anderson store?
And the state of the world in general.
Exactly, but if Scarlet
Yeah.
wins, then the cool Captain Black design will go forever. So, it's a bit of a toughie, but they will appear. Now, if you want to be in with a chance of grabbing those, and in fact getting a special deal on those, and extra discounts across the weekend, including free shipping, blah, 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 then you need to join the Captain Black Friday priority list. Now, to
Right,
do
how do we
that,
do that, Jamie?
you have to go to bit.ly, bit.ly,
Right.
/, and then all capital letters, which wouldn't be allowed in the Podsterons Facebook group, CBF 19 VIP. That's Captain Black Friday 19 VIP. But it has to be all caps. If it's lowercase, it won't work. Now,
Right.
I didn't actually realise that it mattered on a bit.ly link, whether it was uppercase or lowercase, but now I realise it does matter. So bit.ly / all caps CBF 19 VIP. And then you'll get to the Captain Black Friday page. And we'll also put a link in the show notes of this podcast episode,
Great.
so you can find it there.
And this whole...
Sorry for not making it clear.
Yeah, this bit.ly thing, that's just a way of truncating what would otherwise be a very long web address, isn't it?
Yes, because I think the full version is something like jerryanderson.co.uk / Captain Black Friday 2019 priority list, something like that. We don't want that. So yes, bit.ly / CBF 19 VIP, all in caps. Thank you very much.
Lovely.
There's also some Lady P merch out, finally. We had a bit of a delay getting that out to you. Chris Dale's final primers are on the way.
Oh, yes. So what have we got to look forward to?
Well, we've got new Captain Scarlet.
Great.
And Lavender Castle.
Oh, of
and
course.
I think Supercar still to come, is it?
Lovely. Dick Spanner was out this week, I saw. Which,
Dick Spanner's out. And then I believe Chris is going to do a kind of Torchy and Twizzle kind of mashup.
Okay, yeah.
Because we can't have Twizzle having its own one.
Yeah.
Even if you played out the whole episode, it wouldn't be long enough.
No.
And I think we might even have a Lost Worlds and maybe a movies primer too. But
great.
They probably won't come straight away. They'll be in due course.
Yeah.
We are busy working on some more fantastic YouTube content. We've got some recordings coming up in December. I cannot tell you more, but we booked some quite interesting people to come along.
Nice.
That's not a Alex Bell QI
Quite
reference.
interesting.
They're just actually quite interesting
You've got
people.
Sandy Totsvig, have you?
So, who could she play? What has she been dreamcasting?
Oh, crikey. Joe 90, I would think.
Yes, Jo90, played by Sandy Toksvig.
Joan 90.
Yes, there's plenty more stuff coming on the YouTube channel. If you've got any suggestions and stuff you'd like to see, then do email us. And finally, Richard, coming up on the 2nd of December at 7 p.m. is our extra special Christmas edition of Fab Live. Isn't that right?
Yes, it is. That's right. This is our sort of almost monthly Facebook, YouTube, Twitch and Periscope broadcast, whereby we share the love and the fun with our lovely viewers. And of course, the great thing is they get to comment live and we get to see your comments, read them out and share your pictures of your cosplay and merch and your Christmas greetings, I suppose, come December.
Absolutely.
So if you have anything that you would like to be shown on that episode, do send it to fablive@gerryanderson.co.uk and we'll be sure to try and show them then.
Yeah. But do join in because we've got extra special guests. Guests, plural.
Yeah, yes.
The first time we've ever had multiple guests.
I know, I hope
Fab
we've got
Live.
space.
We do, because we are recording from a very special location.
Oh, yeah.
Is it top secret? I don't know if it's top secret or not.
Well,
should we say?
let's keep it a secret. No, let's keep it a secret.
We'll keep it a secret, okay.
Yeah,
we'll just tell them on the night.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Because it'll
we
be
can
obvious.
surprise them when everything is working perfectly.
Yeah. Well, we've got an extra special high velocity broadband connection.
Brilliant.
So we shouldn't have any dropouts and it should be lovely
Great.
quality.
Excellent.
Yes, so I'm very much looking forward to that. That, though, probably brings us to the end of this week's Gerry Anderson news, I think.
That was the news, eh? That was the news.
Oh,
Did that work?
I think it worked very nicely, but you set the bar quite high with your
With David Bowie last week.
Your Bowie thing
I know.
last week, which was very,
I shot
very
the
good.
ball. Yeah, that's right.
Have you got any more lined up?
I'll keep that to myself, thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jamie, that of course we have the news every week, but of course this is on top of all the amazing stuff that is going on behind the scenes towards new productions and new projects and so on that we can't even talk about. So what we give you in the news every week is just the tip of the iceberg. Just wanted to reassure you about that.
Yeah, and how much of an iceberg is under the water generally? Is it
isn't it
70%,
90%?
90%?
70? Yeah,
70
I mean,
to 90%. I think that's
yes.
probably a fair measure of...
I think you're probably right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. Exciting.
That's good. Now, let's head on over to Twitter, because we have had a few people getting in touch there, hashtagging us Gerry Anderson Podcast. For example, Brandon Gant says we definitely need more Beyond Anderson from Chris Dale. So this is a series of YouTube films detailing what happened to famous Gerry Anderson actors after they appeared in their series. He said, I'd like to see one on Nick Tate, on Johnny Byrne, on Derek Meddings, Catherine Schell, and if possible Sylvia Anderson. So lots and lots of names there. I'm sure Chris will be on the case.
Yeah, come on, Chris, what are you doing?
Really?
He's only got the randomiser and the primers and the articles on the website and stuff like that to do.
I know.
He's got loads of time.
Yeah, Tone tweeted us to say that the interview segments of both parts of the previous two Gerry Anderson podcasts, that's with Alex Bell from No Such Thing as a Fish and QI, he said they felt too short, but I think that speaks more to the quality of the guest and wanting to hear more. He enjoyed the interesting defence of the 2004 Thunderbirds movie too. Well, the elements of it are defendable, he says. So yes, that was interesting to hear both you, Jamie, and Alex Bell saying how that, the Thunderbirds 2004 movie is very often considered a bit of a gateway drug into the Gerry Anderson world, isn't it? It can lead you to watching, the original series and finding other things in the Gerry Anderson universe. So that's all to the good, I think.
Yeah, it's sort of the paracetamol that gets you onto the class A's of the true Gerry Anderson universe.
Yes, very, very dodgy ground there. James Pilson Wood says, loving the podcast as usual. Still listening, but had to mention it before I forgot. Perhaps a new YouTube segment, he suggests. The three of us, that's you, me and Chris, play the Thunderbirds board game with a special guest.
Nice. Now, the problem is that Thunderbirds board game can go on for quite a long time, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But it's fun, and it would be a really interesting feature, wouldn't it, to sort of do a kind of interview and board game.
That's right. Well, yes, it would be rather nice. We could do that in the next FAB Live, perhaps. You could bring it along and we could settle down to a game in the background.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be totally fine.
Of course it would. So, yes, we love to see your tweets, so do hashtag us Gerry Anderson Podcast and we'll see them there. And I'll read out a couple of messages from our Facebook group also a little later on too.
I look forward to those.
Yeah.
Richard, we've done a little bit of a change of format, haven't we? Because of the reintroduction of FAB Facts and the fact that, I do go on a bit in the FAB Fact thing.
Well, wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, no, thanks. We don't want to kind of make the podcast too long. And also we want to give our lovely podstrons time to do their homework when it comes to the Plot of Peril. So do you want to explain what we're doing now with the Plot of Peril? And
absolutely. So the Plot of Peril is going to be sort of every 3 or 4 weeks or so. So I set you a character from the Gerry Anderson universe and a random object and a location in last week's pod. And you've got till pod 77 to come up with a coherent Gerry Anderson style plot featuring all those elements. So let's have a quick listen back to what the plot device gave us last week. Are you ready? First of all, your character. Yeah! Oh, Zelda of Guck. And your random everyday object. Yeah! It's a pair of tweezers. And finally, your location. Yeah! Oh! San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. There you go, Podsteron. So there you go. Quite easy. Send in your entries. Isn't it? Send in your entries to podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk, slap them on our Facebook group, or spew them all over Twitter, hashtagging it Plot of Peril, and I'll catch it up there.
Not sure I like the word spew in this context, but okay.
Great.
Yeah, do chuck them in.
Nice.
You've been very busy, actually, haven't you, Richard? Because you've been interviewing, having not promised, but suggested and hinted that you'd have all these guests lined up. I mean, who do we have? Ross Kemp.
Don't remember that.
Wendy Craig.
No, never heard of her.
Camilla Parker Bowles.
No, don't think so. No, couldn't possibly.
You definitely put him in there. Mark Heap,
Barry,
you said you were promising. Chris
not.
Barry,
No.
Colin
listen,
Baker,
I did
Peter
get
Davison.
Gavin Robertson.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah,
Come on.
Gavin's brilliant. So,
yes.
Well, we know where we know Gavin from, but why is Gavin an important and interesting part of the Gerry Anderson universe?
Well, there are some things, aren't there, that pass into legend, that happened at a particular point in time and can never be captured again. And one such thing was the Thunderbirds FAB stage show.
Yes. I thought you were going to say your performance as Officer Orin.
No, because that can still be enjoyed now, Jamie, can't it, on various DVDs and so on. The Thunderbirds stage show, we're talking sort of throughout the 80s and 90s. I think the last production was in 2001. And I know many people saw it, and a few people have the brochures and the programmes and so on, and even the hats that were given a little later on as well to audience members. Well, Gavin Robertson was part of Mime Theatre Project, which was the company that he had with Andrew Dawson. The two of them set it up together, and off they went with this fantastic idea of staging Thunderbirds in theatres around the country.
Crazy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go.
Gavin Robertson,
Yes.
tell me, why on earth are we sitting in the Wheatsheaf pub in Fitzrovia, of all places?
We're sitting in the Wheatsheaf pub because I have reinvented myself since 2016 as Greg Byron, a stand-up poet.
Ah.
And I have a gig here later tonight, so it was easy to meet you in a mutually convenient place in the middle of London.
It was.
So we'll do this, and then I shall start spouting poetry at about 8 o'clock this evening.
Fantastic.
Don't be too polite to put yourself first. Bounce back when your bubbles burst. Don't be coerced. Dive in head first, but pick the right time. Don't spend hours looking for the perfect rhyme. Don't be material. Say goodbye to imperial. Eat more cereal. Eat less fried. Choose to whom you confide. Go along for the ride. Be impulsive. Be daring. Worry less what you're wearing. Enjoy life. Don't get disenchanted. And don't take a full head of hair for granted.
Now, is it possible then to trace a line backwards from this very moment where you and I are talking, back through the early 2000s, back through the 1990s and 80s, and maybe even further back to the 70s?
Yeah, steady.
Where perhaps you first had that initial instinct, shall we say, to be a performer?
Yes, I suppose there is. I studied with Lindsay Kemp, and anybody out there who does know Lindsay Kemp will know that he was David Bowie's mime teacher, and in fact, he and David Bowie reputedly had an affair. He also taught Kate Bush, so if you remember those first videos of Wuthering Heights and all that dancey, mimey stuff, that's where she got that from. And Lindsay Kemp used to say that he was just the latest in a line of descendants of mimes and dancers. So I quite like that reply. But that's a bit of a pretentious answer. But so yeah, I suppose I was in school plays, but you know, as so many of us remember, never got a lead part. It was always in the chorus or holding a spear or the props buyer or something. But yeah, I like performing, and my mother was. Did Amdram, she did Gilbert and Sullivan, so my very first exposure to live theatre was operetta. So yeah, but not to waffle on too long. Yes, I suppose there is a thread, a genuine thread of going, I enjoyed it, it was fun. Drama at school was, when it was first introduced in the 70s, late 70s would have been slightly seen as a soft option, probably, go and do a bit of acting rather than double physics.
But for you, obviously something was lit in those
Yeah,
moments.
and I do remember my parents getting very worried when I was doing my A-levels because I didn't apply myself, basically, and my English literature teacher, who has now sadly died, my mum was a teacher, so it was a double whammy for me, so I got a lot of pressure at home to do well. Skiving off school never went down well with a mother as a teacher. And he said to her, you don't worry about Gavin. If he finds something he's interested in, he'll be fine. And he was absolutely right, and I've always remembered it. I can't do something I'm not interested in.
Well, it's interesting you should say that. I remember my English teacher telling me to my face that I was hiding behind the mask of an idiot. Do you know what I said in response?
Great.
It's not a mask. No, I do remember that.
Then you became a clown.
Yes, essentially, yes, that's right.
So yeah, and he was right. Actually, he was right. I discovered, and my drama teacher said to me, sorry, I'm interrupting myself. But you have that chat, don't you, careers chat. And at the time, I always loved writing, and I loved English grammar and English language, and still do. I mean, hence I'm doing poetry, I guess.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be a journalist. And because I went to a boys' grammar school, and I think they thought that was below me, I remember the advice is, you don't want to do that. Why not, sir? Well, you'd have to start at the bottom. I always remember that. And so in the end that came true too, because then I wrote plays, and now I write poetry. So they were all wrong, I tell you, all wrong.
That's great.
But I think that was the through line. My drama teacher said, "Have you thought about doing acting?" And I didn't know you could. I thought that acting was something you did as a hobby, like my mother.
Yeah.
And being really shocked. And then I thought, actually, yeah, that would be great. I would like to do that. Didn't know anything about writing and creating work then. I just thought, acting, being on stage, that sounds good.
Yeah, yeah.
Did the rounds of drama schools, got into drama school, but I didn't get a grant from my local authority, which was West Sussex.
Right.
They used to give out 6 discretionary grants a year, and I discovered about 8 years later that they'd given 4 away on the morning of my interview. So
Ouch.
yeah, so I suspect they just went, we can't give 5 out of 6 away on the same day.
Yeah.
And thank goodness they didn't, because otherwise I wouldn't have studied mime. I wouldn't have worked with, Lindsay Kemp and Philippe Gaulier, and I wouldn't have written Thunderbirds, and we wouldn't be having this conversation.
No, absolutely right. Okay, well, let's fast forward then from those childhood days.
Probably best.
Yeah, we'll leave those where they are. So, which came first then? Thunderbirds the stage show or meeting Andrew Dawson?
I knew Andy when we were both 16. We both went to school in West Sussex. He lived in Bognor and I lived in Horsham. And through a series of workshops that the council used to bring together, which when we were 16, 17, 18 was actually very exciting, because you met people who were interested in the same things as you were, and suddenly it wasn't sort of embarrassing that somebody had written a song and wanted you to sing lead vocal on it, and you kind of went, oh, what? I don't have to sort of hide that. That's actually quite cool, is it? Oh, great. Because there's always that, there was in the 70s that, I don't know, non-manly aspect, I suppose, if we can call it that.
Yeah.
So it was, you're surrounded by people who liked the same things you did, and it was like being in a new gang of family and friends. And I remember at 17 leaving a week's summer school to go to Edinburgh with my parents, and very quietly and non-manfully slightly crying in the back seat of the car as we drove to Edinburgh, because I just felt like I'd been ripped away from a whole new family.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I don't think they run them anymore. I guess cuts happen, and we live in the times we live in. But that's why art needs to be kept in schools, because it opens doors to you when you're very young, and they can force the course of your life.
Yes, well, quite right too, absolutely. So you meet Andy.
So I met Andy. Didn't answer your question, did I? So I met Andy at one of these through a mutual friend, and there we got on. Weren't particularly close, just knew of each other.
Yeah.
Then when I didn't get into drama school, didn't get a grant, I'd made a bargain with my parents to go and study business studies at Crawley Technical College.
Great.
Which I then reneged on.
Yeah.
And went, no, I can't do that. So, if I have one life, I've got to do something else. I know, I'll go and study mime. It was a 3-month course in London.
Well, hang on, that you sound like that just sort of, you plucked that out of the air. Was it literally like that? Or?
Well, the reason I mention it is because I knew Andy well enough, and he had just done that course.
I see.
And he had made, at the age of 18, a one-man show. And it was white-face mime and completely silent and very traditional.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I was also 18 and went, I know that bloke, and he's performing in the Regis Centre in Bognor. It's quite a 500-600-seater theatre, and actually that's pretty cool.
Yes.
I think he went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival aged 19. Again, pretty cool on his own. Failed miserably. No one came, but he went, did it. So I knew Andy. So, and I thought, well, I'll go and do what he did. I'll go and do the same course, which I then did. So about 5 months after that, we met up, sort of looking at each other, going, well, so we're now both what, qualified mime artists, are we? I don't know what that means. How do you get a job now?
Yeah.
And we sort of went, shall we make some sort of show together? And that eventually turned out to be Thunderbirds FAB.
Thunderbirds are go.
I'm sure you could tell us any Thunderbird story in dance if you wanted to, or if you wanted to do an opera, you could, or if you wanted to make it into a ballet, you could. The advantage we have is that if we use mime, we don't have a great reliance on vast amounts of set. Also, the original series was very fast-moving, very pacey, so that enables us to keep the show flowing a lot.
So where did that come from then? Did either of you have a particular interest in the world of Gerry Anderson, or was it just something you thought was worth mining for an idea?
Sadly, the latter.
Yeah.
I'll defend it with saying that even at that tender age of 22, clearly we were destined to be producers.
Yes.
But yes, it was. Initially, we thought, what should we make a show about? Where do you start? And you're 22. You've never made a show before. You don't know anything, really. You're making it up. Well, we hired a studio, and so I remember we looked at each other on the first morning and went, well, how do we start? Or what's scene one? Who comes on first and what do you say? Because we already knew at that point we weren't doing mime.
Sure.
So it was going to be a technique, but it wasn't going to be silent.
Yes.
And we thought, let's make a show about war. Okay, war. And then we had this thing that we thought, very tenuous. We thought, oh, I know, and Thunderbirds can swoop in at the end and save the day. And the more we thought about it, we thought, let's dump the rest and just do Thunderbirds. And then, of course, we went, well, hold on a second. Gerry Anderson's made all these, it's Stingray and Joe 90 and Captain Scott. Let's do that. And then it was a case of deciding what was in and what was out and making a storyline.
And then, I guess, did either of you then have to hire VHSs, I suppose, in those days?
No.
Or
you
what were you working from?
You couldn't get anything.
No.
I mean, there's a long discussion now with hindsight and 30 years later as to what happened even when the show broke in the West End.
Yeah.
And some of that is quite interesting. But at the time, Thunderbirds hadn't been seen on TV for 22 years, I think.
Right.
So it was just something that Andy and I remembered when we were boys watching television. So, and actually, again, it was a hidden blessing because you couldn't buy DVD. Well, it didn't exist.
No.
Or VHSs.
Yeah.
It was literally what you remembered.
I see.
But of course, the byproduct of that is we made a show which had the things in it which most everyone else also remembered. So it wasn't nerdy in that sense.
Yeah.
It wasn't too detailed and full of details that a fan would know. It was just the sort of thing that anyone down the pub might remember.
Beep, 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 beep. International Rescue. Oh, hi, son. Is Scott with you?
FAB, Father.
International Rescue. Lady Penelope speaking.
Hi, Penny. Jeff here. What have you got to report?
Just one thing, Jeff. Mission accomplished. FAB.
And we just tried to make a typical adventure story from what we remembered and through... Yeah, we put Captain... I mean, we didn't do everyone. Didn't do Joe 90. We did. We had Stingray was never in it, although it came into the West End version later as an encore.
Yeah.
But it was never in the original. We just had Thunderbirds and basically Captain Scarlet. We fused those two and made this show.
So you were taking elements from all the different shows that you remembered to fuse them together to make some sort of coherent plot. I guess it wasn't that important that the plot was too coherent.
Well, it had to make... I mean, I think we were quite... what's the word I want? Finicky, fussy, detailed, in as much as we wanted it. We wanted it to be good. And we were very conscious that this was the first thing we were going to do, and we didn't want it to be seen as just a piece of fluff. I mean, it's entertaining and it is fluff in that sense. It doesn't say anything deep. But nevertheless, any homage or pastiche, needs to be done well. So the thing I think we spent the most time doing was learning to walk like a puppet.
Yes, okay.
And given the fact that Andy and I had studied mime and therefore genuinely had an ability to analyse movement, the first thing we did was try and remember how those puppets moved, and of course that became a comic element that was through the show. I mean, the number of venues we left where you'd see people doing that walk down the street, and it did become a thing.
Well, Jamie doesn't thank you for it.
Oh, right, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, well, I mean, it was on all sorts of, ended up on all sorts of cameo. It was on Blue Peter and Tomorrow's World. And I can't even remember the other things it ended up on.
And for me, because we'll touch on this a little later on, I was a very small part of the story in that I did a much later tour. And for me, the defining thing about the production was, of course, there were no props and there was no scenery.
No.
It was up to the actor to provide all of these things by using their body and by using the processes of mime and so on. That obviously was going to be the case from the off then, wasn't it?
Yes.
So if you wanted a computer console, you would mime the computer and you'd give it the sound effects and so on.
Absolutely. So it was cartoonet. We coined the word cartoonesque. And we were very influenced by a company that were big in the 70s but are no longer around, called Moving Picture Mime Show. But if you are someone who goes to the theatre and you've ever seen Warhorse, Toby Sedgwick, who won an Olivier for the movement direction on Warhorse, was one of Moving Picture Mime Shows. So, these threads do continue and they do go somewhere else. But so the movement aspect of getting that walk right and the whole idea of wearing models on our heads. People call them hats. Andy and I never called them hats. No. We always called them models.
Yes.
And I think that shows also maybe something about our approach. They weren't hats, that's frivolous. They were models. You know what I mean? They were detailed, correct. Gerry Anderson put us in touch with the model makers to make them as good as it could be. And when we did the flying sequence, as we used to call it, and you will remember doing it yourself, there was an element of trying to turn the model so it looked like it was flying, so it wasn't just... It wasn't pedestrian. That there was a level of skill. And I think... in those early days that because we delivered something which was silly but well delivered, that's probably why it ended up going to the West End in the end.
Sure.
Without sounding, without blowing my own trumpet. But it's interesting to talk about it with you because I haven't talked about it for a very long time.
No, I'm sure not.
Trying to remember where we came from and what was important to us is an interesting exercise.
Yes. So there we were, or there you were, in the rehearsal room. Yeah. Were you yet Mime Theatre Productions?
Well, yeah, we had to come up with a name. I mean, it's terribly... So this was mid-'80s now, and Mime Theatre... People were starting to... There was a thread of theatre live performance that was starting to come in, which wasn't all National Theatre and, the Shakespeare Company, so it wasn't all based on text. It was this sort of Jacques Lecoq, Philippe Gaulier influenced, where actors were learning mask work and dance and mime and movement, as well as just sort of being able to project their voices.
Yeah.
So we were part of a movement which we recognise now was a movement, but at the time was just a thing.
Yeah.
So Complicité, if you go to the theatre and you've heard of Complicité, who are at the National often and have done all sorts of stuff, they were part of the same camp, if you like. In fact, we were in the West End when they were at the National, and there was a sort of friendly rivalry, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was the question again?
I was wondering, when did you become Mime Theatre Productions?
Well, it was a name. So Mime Theatre it started to be called something. What do you call this form of theatre that sort of uses movement? Well, it's physical theatre, it's visual theatre, it's mime theatre, and we thought, well, let's call ourselves sort of what we do. So we'll be Mime Theatre. Every show is a project.
Yeah.
Mime Theatre Project. I mean, it's dated awfully. It sounds terribly dated. Now,
Mime Theatre Project.
Yes, but at the time we thought, oh yeah, cool name.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then I suppose the point came that you needed something more than just the two of you. You did need these fantastic spaceship models.
Models of Thunderbird 1 and Thunderbird 2.
Yes. So how did you go about sourcing those?
So what happened was, Andy and I had this idea, and we thought we were sussed enough at 22 to go, well, we don't own these. If we want to do Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet, somebody must own that, characters stuff.
Yeah.
We'd better make sure we get permission.
Yes.
And we assumed that Gerry owned the rights. In fact, he didn't. ITC Entertainment at that time owned the rights.
Yeah.
But we made an appointment to see Gerry, and I remember the meeting very well. And at that time, Andy and I had thought, well, we're going to need these models. We're going to need Thunderbird. How do we do Thunderbird 1 and Thunderbird 2?
Yes.
And at the time, we thought, well, we'll make this little sort of thing like they'd sit on our shoulders like a parrot. So they'd be models that would, I don't know, maybe 9 inches long or something, and we'd sort of mime flying them, and, they'd be on some sort of contraption that would sit on a shoulder. And we were sitting in outside Gerry's office at Bray Studios. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember which one of us said it, but we said, they're not going to be big enough. If you're in an auditorium at the back, you're not going to be able to see these. We need to wear them on our heads.
Yeah.
And it was literally about 10 minutes before we went in to meet Gerry. Right. You do that when you're 22.
Yes,
it's the beautiful innocence of youth and confidence of youth.
Yeah.
So we went in, and he was charming and quietly spoken, which he always was, and clearly had no idea really what mime was. And I remember Andy getting up and demonstrating to him our version of the puppet, which he loved.
Okay.
And he said, yes, okay, well, I'll put you in touch with the model maker if that's what you can go from there.
I see.
Which we did. And,
yes.
The first versions of the models were, I used to wear Thunderbird 2, and it was a polystyrene body. The engines at the back, the red engines, were solid silicon. And when they first put it on me, it just tipped backwards.
Right.
So they had to bore a hole in the sort of front. If you imagine where the pod comes out, they put a lead ball in there to balance it out. But it weighed about 11 pounds. And it was, I mean, I used to do a show and come off with neck ache. And they made it to scale. So Thunderbird 2 was pretty big. And Thunderbird 1 in relation to that is actually quite small. So we ended up with a sort of short, squat version of Thunderbird 1.
Okay.
Which, I mean, when we first started, we were doing small arts centres, and frankly, it was fine. It was silly. It was such a silly show.
Yes.
And yet there was something about it which people really loved.
Yes.
Then there's a huge other conversation about the West End. The models were reinvented, and they were made by... I actually can't even remember who made them.
Would that be Richard Gregory?
Richard Gregory, yes, it would be.
Yeah.
And we had a very long, beautiful, distressed model.
That's right.
Think it looked much more like the originals, and they were beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But the original two were destroyed in order to to do that because we had to keep the mould of Thunderbird 2 to make the next set.
But that's interesting that from that decision that was made, as you say, just 10 minutes before walking into Gerry's office, we have this iconic image, really, that everyone will remember if they ever saw the show or saw posters for the show. And here you've got a programme for one of the early productions, and there you are on the front of the programme with Thunderbird 2 on your head.
Yes.
And it is the image that everyone remembers.
Yes, it is.
And it was almost quite accidental.
Yes. Yes, I guess so. But I think, that's what creativity is, isn't it? You come up with something and, I don't know, it just goes, David Bowie thought he'd dye his hair red and put a gold circle on his forehead, and that's as iconic as it gets. You do something that you think is going to be a one-off, and it isn't.
And I guess the stakes are quite high on that day. If Gerry had said no, if Gerry had felt in any way affronted even by these young upstarts, I guess an end to it.
Well, theoretically not, because he didn't own the rights. We assumed he did because we were 22, and Thunderbirds, Gerry Anderson. I suspect we could have gone round him, but why would you? I mean, we didn't want to make it, against his wishes.
No.
We had a bigger problem actually when after we had his blessing and we were literally making the show. About 2 weeks into us in our studio going, what shall we do now? Barry Gray sadly died. And of course, as any aficionado knows, that music for any of those series is irreplaceable. But again, as young 22-year-olds, we did have a discussion where we thought, if we can't get the music, do we use something that's a bit like it?
Yeah.
And we decided, no, we wouldn't.
Yeah.
And it was awkward because we had written to, I believe, his widow, I think. And of course, we didn't get a reply. We thought, well, we're not going to get, we have to be patient because, the poor man's just died.
Yes.
But she was great, and she sent us, by post, master copies of the music that Barry had composed. So they're all on reel-to-reel tapes.
Right.
And Andy, to his credit, I can't claim credit for this, but as we went, we were trying to put... if you ever saw the show, you may remember that there's about a 20-minute section where nobody speaks. It's all music and action, where the train is on the bridge and you cut to the Thunderbird 1 taking off and then you cut, but there's no talking. It's all music. And so we had to edit that soundtrack together. And Andy, who was somewhat more technically minded, was at that point, I remember we decided what the music was, and then he would splice the tape, cut it with a scalpel, like you used to in the old days.
That's right.
And put it together. So the very first tours we ever did, we were touring with 2 reels. Act 1 on one reel and Act 2 on another. And you would change the reel in the interval.
Nice find, Richard.
Yeah. Had a really lovely evening with Gavin, actually. Met him for a drink and did the interview, and then I went to see his poetry in the evening.
His performance
which is
poetry.
lovely.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was really, really good fun. And Rob Third, of all people, turned up as well, who was also another an alien from Space Precinct. So it was a little bit of a mini reunion, too.
That's sweet, isn't it?
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, well, no, I really enjoyed hearing about that stuff. And, as so often happens, there's that assumption that Dad or Ants Entertainment owns and controls all the shows. And Gavin, like so many people, find that's just not the case because it's...
That's right.
It's all a lot more complicated than that.
Yeah, but it strikes me as a story where at any point someone could have said no and it might never have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Gray's widow, as Gavin said there, I think he just recently died.
Yeah.
She could have just said, well, no, I'm not going to do that. It trivialises my husband's work or whatever. Gerry could have not given his blessing. Anyone could have said no at any point and it would never have happened. But it's a great example of people just saying, yes, of course you must.
Keep saying yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
So very good. So part 2 next week features the opening night up in Edinburgh, I think, and then takes us via the South Bank and Royal Festival Hall into the West End of London and then around the provinces to local theatres as well. So it's all about Thunderbirds on the road.
And a not often told story as well. So
yeah.
Really
now,
nice
I do wonder,
that.
did Wayne Forrester mention it in Pod 9? Because obviously he had a part in the show, so I guess there might be a few comments from him there.
Yeah, there's a little bit in Pod 9, but I don't think it's as in-depth as your chat with Gavin. Gavin being one of the originators of it, so it makes perfect sense. So yeah, if you want a little bit more, go back and listen to Pod 9 with Wayne Forrester. And
that's right.
Yeah, what do we do? Oh yeah, that's quite a noisy one because we were having lunch with that one as well. A lot of lunches with these podcast interviews,
of course.
but not with yours,
yes,
sadly.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to that more with Gavin next time round, and we must try and find the recordings of that stage show because it was filmed a few times.
Yeah, that's right.
So it does exist somewhere.
Yeah, he does mention that. Yeah,
I wonder if we can
perhaps
find
it's
them.
perhaps it's best left where it was as a memory.
No,
you want to see it as a completist.
Well, because
you
there's
want to
loads
see
of people who couldn't see it at the time, and to finally give them a chance to actually watch it would be brilliant. Anyway, we've got enough projects on already, Richard. We don't need to do doing archive video hunts for that sort of thing.
That's right.
But thank you for having the chat with Gavin. That's really interesting, and more next week. Make sure you subscribe to hear next week's part of the interview.
Mm-hmm.
And also by subscribing, you make sure you never miss a randomiser.
Why would you want to do that?
I don't know. We know what the randomiser is, but perhaps new listeners don't. Chris Dale takes us on an episode-by-episode journey through 60 years of Gerry Anderson shows, one random episode at a time, giving us his thoughts and comments and occasional historical tidbits. So should we let him find out what this week's random episode is now?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay, here he goes.
I found it lying near this rock. Well, I tell you, it's the darndest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, it's all right, Mr. Oakey, that's ours. You see, we crashed our Eagle out in the desert, as you do, but we couldn't find the randomiser afterwards. I'm glad it's all right. Oh, and I see you've even made this week's selection for us.
Best I can do.
Well, I'm sure it'll be... Yep, I'm happy with that. It's Stingray, Marineville Traitor. So here we go, time for some more Stingray. I think it's been quite a while since we've seen Stingray on the randomiser. I think the last one might have been In Search of the Taj Mahal, which feels quite a while ago. Anyway, Marineville Traitor. This was, I think, the penultimate episode of the show to be aired in the UK on first run. We've got a very sombre opening. Commander Shaw sat out on the patio looking a bit sad. Hey! Oh, okay, that is interesting. So Troy and Phones share a bedroom. That's not the odd thing. But on Phones' side of the room, and you can only just make it out, he has the same framed photo of Troy that Atlanta has on her bedside table. So Troy, well known for sort of having a bit of an entanglement with both Atlanta and Marina. There's also something going on with Phones as well.
Here, Aquamarine. Looks like we're in for a quiet evening.
Or has Phones just asked for that photo of Troy so he remembers who he's actually working with. I don't know if Troy and Phones actually share a house together, or was that just sort of like a sort of standby room, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, Lieutenant Fisher's alone on duty in the control tower. Oh! And he's been slugged.
Father, the emergency alarm. Father?
Oh. But he's not there.
Father,
he's gone.
Where are you?
It is rather inconvenient that you'd have an emergency alarm that wakes up everybody in Marineville no matter what the emergency. I can understand it if it's like, oh my god, we're all about to be nuked, but sort of like...
I was slugged from behind.
Lieutenant Fisher got hit on the head. It doesn't really need everybody to be woken up.
Sea hydroprobe.
But that's a vital piece of our long-range warning system.
So vital that we've never mentioned it before or since.
Who wanted to weaken Marineville's defenses? We have a traitor, and I want him.
So the thingy has been stolen.
Command ashore. All personnel are to remain in their quarters for a further period of 4 hours. The hydroprobe receiver is still missing. You had a kind of hectic night, Atlanta. Why don't you get on home and catch up on your sleep?
Well, this is a new angle. Do you feel okay?
Quit fooling, Atlanta. I just think you look tired and could do with some sleep.
This is going surprisingly well for a conversation between a father and daughter, a father telling his daughter that she looks tired. That can often end with sort of half an hour of, well, what do you mean by that? What are you saying?
Marina to dinner tonight. Guess I could use
She's letting it go very easily. But that's all part of Commander Shaw's plan. He needs her out of the room.
Tracking station from tower. Are all automatic message interceptor units working?
Why, yes, Commander. They're always operating.
Okay, Lieutenant, just checking.
So, that was the first time, I think, first and maybe only time we ever saw inside the tracking station. Normally it was just a voice over the intercom. And it's strange. We have a traitor in our midst, and we also have this lieutenant working at the tracking station who we've never seen before. Who could the traitor be? And that is one of those things that, we right from the beginning who the traitor is going to turn out to be. It's not going to be anyone other than this apparently faithful person that we've never ever seen before.
0 blue to 0 red.
And I think that happened a few times in Gerry Anderson shows. I think the only one to subvert it was Space Precinct, where they did an episode where there could have been a traitor, and there was... I think that was the first episode that Carson appeared in, and it was just a coincidence. But then they did the same thing later in The Witness. It's like, here's this, someone is leaking information. Who could it be? Who do you think it is? New guy that we've never seen before. It's so frustrating, but no, what can you do?
Remember, failure means danger to Atlanta. That is all.
So Commander Shaw has sent a message to a sinisterly voiced man, but he's forgotten that the tracking station is automatically recording all incoming and outgoing transmissions.
Or maybe it wasn't.
In Marineville, at all times.
With the traitor who stole
on tape.
Put that disc on, Atlanta. The one that I like.
Come on, everybody! It's Gibbon time!
Sorry to disturb you, sir, but I've discovered something I think you ought to know about.
Okay, Lieutenant. What have you found?
Oh, trustworthy Lieutenant.
It's kind of personal, sir. Could you come across to the tracking station?
No, I couldn't, Lieutenant.
I really think I ought to...
Lieutenant Misen, will you please get
You've been a loyal and faithful member of the Wasps for, 5 minutes now.
Interceptor tapes. There's a message on one which...
I mean, he even looks evil.
Will you stop being so mysterious? Play the tape back, Misen, right now.
And he's got a sort of villainy name. Sounds like he should be a villain in like a Dickens novel.
Operation. Isn't there some other way?
No. You must realize that success is imperative, even if the people closest to you get hurt. If you fail, then it is certain your friends will be in danger. Remember, failure means danger to Atlanta. That is all.
Okay, Lieutenant, that's enough. Carry on with your normal duties. I'll deal with this later.
Yes, sir.
But, sir, I don't understand.
No, that sounded just like you.
Someone must be impersonating your voice.
No, Atlanta, it was me. A good gag, huh?
You mean it was a joke, sir?
What else could it have been, Tempest?
But the other voice, Father, was that you too?
Yeah. Yeah, sure it was.
Well, you did it pretty well, sir.
Thanks, Troy. Now I'd better get across to the tower.
So that's another
Duty calls,
odd moment from Shaw there.
Sir.
Trying to convince everyone that he's auditioning for Dead Ringers, but...
How about some more music, Atlanta?
Sure, Troy. I'll fix it.
They must just be thinking that he's gone a bit round the bend. Getting on a bit. The old man's getting senile. Oh, Troy's watching him go from the window. Pull back the curtains.
I don't figure this. It's not like the commander to play practical jokes.
I also noticed that Troy has got his
What are you suggesting, Troy?
Nothing, Atlanta.
The waistline of his jeans is like hiked up pretty much to his armpits. He's got
yeah. Guess so.
Lieutenant Fisher's on duty alone again. Doors creaking open.
Okay, Lieutenant. Get on home and rest your head.
Oh.
I'll take over.
Oh, I'll be okay, sir. I don't mind staying on. You never know, we might have more trouble.
Meaning that if we do, I won't be able to handle it, Is that it?
Why, no, sir. I didn't mean that.
And we have another scene of an actor having a conversation with himself. That's Ray Barrett doing Shaw and Fisher. And poor old Fisher this week. I think that's the last we see of him in this episode. He's just been dismissed. He's had a crack on the head, but he's still come back to work.
Are all the guards doubled,
Just as chirpy and cheerful as ever and willing to stay on.
Good.
And he is treated so badly in this show. He's always being kicked around and criticised, and he just takes it. He just takes it. He's so cheerful. Poor old Fisher. Him and John Tracy, they really need to form like a support group of just neglected, underappreciated Ray Barrett characters.
Tracking station to tower. Do you hear me?
Oh. Commander Shaw's been knocked out. Safe is open. No. So it's all a bit suspicious, and it's this is a surprisingly serious episode of Stingray so far. We're not used to this level of
No, Troy.
Oh.
He came from behind. Some top secret plans have been stolen and we've got to get after the culprit.
Now, you're not going to worry about this.
So I don't know who bandaged Shaw's head.
It's my job to worry.
No.
Compared to Fisher's, they didn't do a very good job.
Atlanta's right, sir. You must have had a nasty crack.
Okay, but I'm going under protest.
Unless Shaw did it himself, which, for reasons we'll discover later, might well have been the case.
This is a bad business, sir. Everyone in Marineville's under suspicion.
Believe me, I shall be asking myself some pretty searching questions later on.
What makes a man turn traitor?
Any one of a number of reasons, Troy.
And this is, I think, one of my favourite moments of the entire series.
Politics. Duty.
Duty, sir?
Yes, Troy. The duty to oneself, to one's own family and friends.
Yeah.
Because much like the rest of this episode, it is an unusually serious and sort of grounded conversation between these two characters.
Ready for some rest after all.
We're normally used to seeing them sort of, Shaw's barking out orders and Troy's just obeying them, but that's a conversation almost between two friends about something very serious.
Want to enter the tower before the alarm was sounded.
It's difficult to say this to you, Atlanta, but I think your father's more involved in this than you think.
You mean he knows something we don't?
No, Phones. He doesn't mean that. Go on, Troy. Why don't you say it? You think Father is the traitor.
Now, Atlanta, I know...
And this is always also a good episode, a really good episode to show off the strengths of the actors.
You accuse my father of being a traitor and expect me to be calm?
Atlanta, I'm only looking at the facts.
What facts? Tell me one thing.
Don Mason and especially Lois Maxwell are doing really well here.
Do you really believe the commander was joking?
He said it was a gag. It could have been.
No, honey, not the commander. He doesn't joke like that.
He normally jokes by, whipping us and telling us what to do and...
But his head... He was in pain.
Did you see any bruising? Any wounds? No, I figure he was shamming.
There's no proof.
Your father's not a fool, Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta's crying.
Could be. He's covered his tracks well.
No, I don't believe it. I won't believe it.
How about the other night, when Lieutenant Fisher was slugged? Was your father at home?
I noticed they've got the first aid kits still on the control tower console, as if they're expecting
Troy, he wasn't there.
Injury number 3 to happen at any moment.
Waiting for us in the control tower.
Yes, he discovered Fisher unconscious.
Yeah, but if he was awake, he could have got to the tower before us.
If he was awake, if it was a joke, if he was slugged. There's too many ifs, Phones.
I just hate ifs.
What am I going to do? Help me. Help my father.
Well, I'll do my best, Atlanta. You know that.
Well, I am pretty awesome, Atlanta. You know that. I love the sort of understated smugness in Troy's voice sometimes.
This is Commander Shore speaking. I do not want to be disturbed for the next 15 minutes.
As many times as I see these episodes, and I have seen this one quite a bit because it's one of the few I had on video as a kid, you still see things that you've never noticed before, and I'm just looking at that background painting of Marineville, the view from the top of the control tower windows. Again, it doesn't look like anything other than a painting, but it's so detailed, there's so much there. And it really helps... It really helps to sort of give an idea of the scale and what else is in Marineville, which you don't always get from those establishing shots of the control tower.
Everything went according to plan.
Anyway, Shaw's sending another signal, but he's being spied on by Troy and Phones, who have... I don't know if they've installed these little windows especially for this.
I guess that's all the proof we need, Troy.
Or if this little spying room was already there, but... Yep, they've rumbled him.
I understand. Over and out.
Hold it, Commander. I'm sorry about this, but I guess you've asked for it. I've got to put you in the detention cell.
Troy, no. Can't he come home with me? I'll look after him.
Sorry, Atlanta. It's got to be this way.
Oh, poor.
Don't say it, Troy. Do what you have to, but don't mention that awful word.
Shh, Atlanta, baby. Troy's got his duty to do.
Will you take the commander to the detention pen phones and then see Atlanta home? She needs a rest.
Sure, Troy.
Everyone's sending Atlanta home this week. What's Troy going to do while he's handed all the duties off to phones?
Tracking station.
Here we go.
This is Captain Tempest speaking. As from now, I have taken over command of Marineville.
Yep, declaring martial law. Here we go. That's it.
And have the airfield stand by with a helicopter.
This will not end well.
To HQ in a half hour.
Why, Father? Just tell me why.
It's a long story, Atlanta. Now, go to the house and rest. Take her along, will you, Phones?
Yes, sir. Come on, Atlanta.
You know, as much as I like what Lois Maxwell's doing with Atlanta in this episode,
It's all right, Troy. Believe me, I understand.
I'm not too keen on the fact that Atlanta's role in this is just to be sent away at all times.
You get off to headquarters and make your report.
I appreciate your attitude.
You know, considering that, you know, everyone thinks her father is a traitor and all the evidence says he is, she should be more involved with this than maybe she is.
I'll do all I can to help. At the inquiry, I mean.
And I also like that just outside the detention cell is this big board headed regulations for the prisoners to read, like, you know, these are the rules. These are all the things you did wrong. If you'd done this, you would have been okay. You wouldn't be in this cell now.
Troy's on his way.
That's rather cruel that that's the only literature that they're offering the prisoners in Marineville.
What if they find him guilty?
You know the penalty, Atlanta, but don't think about that. It could all be...
Smooth, Phones, real smooth.
Only I could believe that, Phones. But that last radio message... Well, you and Troy saw him.
You try and get some rest, Atlanta.
I'll be okay, Phones. Thanks.
I hope Marina comes by to make sure she's all right. Otherwise, Atlanta's role in this is just so pitiful. I feel so sorry for her.
Swift action. Whatever the commander is now, he
Here
had
we are at World Security Patrol headquarters, speaking to one of those 3 Admiral guys.
Right so, Captain. And that's what makes his crime all the more serious.
Who always seem to have interchangeable voices in this show. They turned up in like 3 or 4 episodes. They never kept the voices consistent with those guys. And they never had any names, I don't think,
I'm gonna leave
either.
him alone till you get back. I figure he needs some time to think things out.
Swell, Phones.
Out you come, Commander. Guess we're both on the same side, but I would never have figured it.
So it was you who took the hydroprobe.
Oh no! Not the new guy that we've never seen before. He was the traitor! Oh, he seemed so trustworthy as well.
Certainly found a good contact in you. I thought I was working alone here. We may have to fight our way out, so I'll take this gun. Guess you won't be scared to use it, huh?
You bet I won't, Misen. You're under arrest.
Oh, that was the easiest luring out of a traitor we've ever seen, I think.
Deadly serious. Make a move and I'll fire. Traitor.
Ooh.
But for that buggy of yours, Commander, I guess I would have been for the high jump.
More like a firing squad, Misen.
Yeah, but instead you're facing the bullets, not me. Now, before I shoot you, I'd like to know what all this double dealing is about.
Headquarters and I knew a traitor.
Oh, so Commander Shaw's pressed a little button on his
He
chair,
had to lay a plot to catch you.
transmitting to the control tower. Oh, Fisher's back.
To make it work,
Still with a bandaged head.
force you into the
guy.
open. We figured that if I posed as a traitor, the real spy would contact me sooner or later.
Quite a plan, Commander.
Well, that was a fairly dangerous plan, in fact. I mean,
To make the plan work.
you know, the real traitor could have thought, oh, thank goodness, someone else is up to no good. I'll use that as a cover and I'll just lie low. It seems like a plan that could have gone wrong in half a dozen ways, but...
Too bad you won't live to tell the story.
Never mind. It seems to have worked. In short, Troy's racing over to the detention cell.
I've done okay up to now.
It's all over, Misen. You're washed up.
Oh, I thought you'd never get here, Troy.
That's it. Commander Shaw is back in charge of Marineville. First order of business is to rename it from Tempestville back to Marineville.
What have you to report?
Yeah, the idea of Troy being left in charge of Marineville is rather funny, but also quite terrifying.
Captain Tempest.
Good afternoon, sir.
Glad to meet you, Tempest.
You acted exactly as you should have done. A lesser man would have avoided the responsibility.
Oh, this is a Wasp commander. I think this is the ultra high commander.
Well, Troy, that was the big chief himself.
Big chief himself, yeah. It looked like he had Jeff Tracy's ashtray radio thing on his desk. I'll have to check that. That might be slightly different, or it might be the same one.
And I'm resigning from the post as of this minute. Welcome back aboard.
Yes. Welcome back, Father.
Oh, Mison's in jail. Probably awaiting that firing squad. Although if you watch this in production order, Mison actually turns up again in several later episodes. He's I think a courier in Titan Goes Pop, and he might even turn up just as a random Wasp officer in a few other places. So clearly they weren't too fussed about his treachery. Anyway, that was Marineville Traitor, and yeah, I really like that one. I've always liked that one because it is something so different for Stingray. It is so much more serious. It's focused far more on the characters than most other episodes. You know, there's not much in the way of like action or explosions. I think this is the only episode of the show that Stingray doesn't even appear in, which is very unusual considering it's a show called Stingray. But yeah, it's good to see these characters in a slightly more serious situation than normal. I also feel so sorry for Atlanta and also Lieutenant Fisher, who, by the way, at the end of this episode, did not get an apology for what happened. You know, Commander Shaw is very apologetic, you know, for letting down his friends, for letting down Atlanta, but getting to crack Lieutenant Fisher on the back of the head, that was the only fun part about it. Anyway, Marineville Traitor, another very good episode of Stingray.
Good old Stingray.
Yes, love a bit of Stingray.
Yeah. But as Chris says, very much that thing where, a new character and there's a traitor around.
Yes.
But he mentioned that there's a traitor episode of Space Precinct, isn't there? It's an episode where Carson comes in, but he's not the traitor. So
no.
But it's easy to do with a large human cast and a puppet cast.
Yes.
If you've got a traitor, it can't be one of the main characters because then that
of course not.
scuppers things. So
yeah, that's right.
But it's a fun little story, as Chris said, a bit obvious. And just reminds me how much I was actually slightly intimidated by Commander Shaw as a kid.
Really? Were you?
Yeah.
Why's that?
I don't know, he was always a little bit kind of short with everybody and, you know, a bit mean to Atlanta, his daughter.
Right, okay.
That kind of parental thing. But he was kind of a cool character because he was in a wheelchair. And
that's right,
he was,
yes.
He was the commander, he had some cool tools, and that he used his special recording transmitter device.
Yeah.
And I think around the same time I must have been watching my VHS tapes when I first saw this of Genesis of the Daleks. So seeing Davros.
Of course. Right.
Davros versus Shaw.
Yes, absolutely. Now there's a video for Chris Dale.
Yes, if you can sort that, Chris, that would be great.
Yeah.
But it does make me want to revisit Stingray, and I cannot wait until Network finally get round to doing a Blu-ray set of Stingray because it's going to look
lovely.
Stunning.
Yes, won't it? Of all the Gerry Anderson series, I think perhaps that might lend itself more completely to the Blu-ray treatment.
Yeah,
do you think?
I think because of something to do with it's a lot more kind of comic book in a lot of ways, Stingray.
Yes, that's right.
With the colours and the kind of undersea aliens and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it might bring new, exciting life to Stingray.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, that would be great.
Maybe 2020. Let's hope.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, thank you for that, Chris. Well, don't forget to join us next week for the next randomizer. What will he have to sit through next? We don't know because it's random.
Yeah, but it won't be any of the titles we've already had in the previous 74
that's true.
podcasts.
That's true. People very often, they're still asking, is there a list of Chris Dale's randomizer episodes that he's done so far? Yes, there is. It's on the Gerry Anderson website. I can't remember the address, but I'm sure if you Google it, you can find it. Yeah. Now, just before we go, a couple of messages from our Facebook group where Heather Ballard is continuing with her amazing artwork. I don't know if you're following her almost daily comic strip.
It's fantastic.
Delightful. Yeah, Isabelle Saucier is posting pictures of snow from her home in Canada. Ooh. And AC, of course, Andrew Clements, posed this little conundrum. What if the entire series of Captain Scarlet was just the Mysterons projecting the consequences of Black's next action into his mind in order to prevent the war from starting, like Space 1999's War Games? Mind blown.
Ooh.
I think. Probably not AC, but always worth a go.
Yeah. It's a nice, more dream kind of stuff, a bit like the Fireball XL5 that could have been.
Indeed, yes, that's right. Or maybe this whole podcast has been a... Oh no.
Oh no.
You don't think, do you?
Well, shall I come over there and pinch you and we'll see?
Please don't.
No, I'm sure lots of our Podsterons would view this podcast as a dream, and perhaps some would view it as a nightmare. So apologies to the latter group, but thank you for listening. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please email us podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk, ask us any questions, pass on any comments. Please do leave us a review on whatever thing you're listening to us from.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Especially on Apple Podcasts, because it helps people find us. I think we've got like 215 reviews, which is amazing, and an average of 4.9 stars.
Hey.
But just from our Podsterons group alone on Facebook, that's less than half of them, I think, who would have left a review there. So there's lots of you who haven't done it yet. Please do it. It really helps us, even if you've enjoyed 5 minutes of a single podcast.
Oh, that's good going.
Show us your gratitude by leaving us a review. Make sure you subscribe. Share it with a chum or an enemy. Doesn't matter.
True. That'll show them.
And we look forward to speaking to you next week.
See you then.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Stage 1 complete.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
Would you share the podcast with an enemy, Richard?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Anyone particular in mind? Lou Hirsch?
I'd pipe it into their home, day and night. Every single episode, including the prequel.
Oh, not the prequel.
Oh, definitely.
I did see some people saying they listened back to the early ones and just seeing how the format had changed and how early days we were like, well, we're just trying this out. It might not continue, but here we are.
That's right.
And here we are a year and a bit later, and
still going.
I know.
No sign of stopping.
No.
Why should we?
Absolutely, yeah. We've got some special stuff lined up for towards Christmas, haven't we?
Well, haven't we? I mean, special guests. Yeah.
Let's not
special broadcasts.
Let's not tell them too much more.
No,
but
I'm not going to say a word. No.
Yeah. We should start prepping for the Fab Live Christmas edition, though. So.
Okay, I'll go and get the tinsel out and see if I can find the mince pies.
Well, I was actually thinking if you could do some baking, maybe bring some Christmas cookies or homemade mince pies. Would that be all right?
Have you tasted my homemade mince pies?
Yeah, okay. If you could just get some shop bought ones, then. Thanks, Ray.
M&S.
Yeah. Okay, off you go. Go shopping.
Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast. Wasn't it fun?